friends, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to use a machine embroidery to make this cute pumpkin in the hoop quilt block. And this design is free on my Patreon page. It comes in two sizes. So this is the 5-inch finish block, and there's an extra thread there. This is the 6-inch finish block. This one requires a 5x7-inch hoop, while this one requires a 6x10-inch or larger hoop. Super easy to do. And what I like about this design is I included a satin stitch around the stem and around the pumpkin to make them both stand out. So let's begin. I think the hardest thing about these projects are picking out the color of fabric. And so I just went to my stash and I have very few. My dog and my cat are fighting. Daisy, be nice to the cat. Be nice to Jasper. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So I have very few oranges. I have a lot of bright ones. Some are like not really Halloweeny, but this one I think is kind of Halloweeny. So I kind of like this one for the fall. And then I grabbed this. I mean, this is a little too fluorescent, but I thought it'd be fun. So I think I'm gonna do alternating colors like that. For the stem, I'm going to do just a plain brown this time, and instead of green for the background, I think I'm just gonna do blue. We'll see. I think that might work. Okay. All right. So I am doing the 6-inch finished square, and I don't know where my 6x10-inch hoop is, so I'm just going to use my 8x12 hoop right here, and I put tearaway stabilizer in it, and I'm going to take it to the machine, and I'm going to run the first stitch, which is always, of course, the placement stitch. Grab a ruler, and the first thing I want you to do is measure these rectangles right here. And they're all, these four, 1, 2, 3, 4 are the same. And we're also gonna cut the same size for these two as well, even though they are not rectangles. We're still gonna use the same size fabric because I'm gonna alternate them. So I'll need a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rectangles. But I'm doing 2 pieces of fabric, so I need 3 and 3. And I like to have a little extra overhang, and so I like to have about a 1/2 inch up top and a 1/2 inch at the bottom. So I'm gonna say about 5.5 should be good. I mean, it's plenty actually. So we're gonna definitely have to do some cutting, but I like to have excess fabric, so I'm not short. Okay, and then also measure the width. So I'm gonna do 5.5 for the length, and I like to have 1/2 on each side of here too. So I'm gonna say 1 3/4. I'm gonna just do this huge strip right here, which is way more than enough. That way I don't have to work with all this extra fabric. Okay. Put this away. All right, so I have the width right here, which is 1 3/4, and then I said 5.5, if my memory serves me right. 5.5. So I need 3 of these strips, and guess what? They don't have to be perfect because the machine will sew it perfectly, and then you can also trim. I'll show you what I mean when I'm over there. Okay, so I just need to get 3 of these. All right, so I'm gonna take this over. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing here. So I got my 3 strips right there. Put these to the side. And I'm gonna do the same thing with this fabric. I'm gonna cut out roughly the same size here for these ones. And then I'm gonna take it to the ironing board because I definitely need to iron that. So, all right, so I have these strips ironed and cut out and ironed. And now I'm gonna do these side strips right here, including these little triangles because I want them to be the same color. So I'm going to, this one you'll see at the top is twice the size of this one down here. I do that because this is where the little brown stem will be sewn. So I'm just gonna measure this up here And it's very important that you have at a minimum of 1/4 inch fabric overhang at the outside of all 4 sides, because that's how you can sew the block to other blocks. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna do a 1/2 inch again, because that's kind of like my go-to. So I'm gonna do 2 inches and then I'm gonna do 2 inches by 7. That's what I'm gonna do. 2 inches by 7. So as you can see in this one, I did green all around, including the little, you can see the 4 little triangles. I'm gonna do blue. I have my background fabric done. I have my 2 oranges done, and now I just have to get those 4 triangles. And so I just eyeballed it. I try to eyeball as close as possible as squares. And I'm going to use my mat and a ruler, and I will just cut them in half, the squares, to make triangles out of it. Now, the closer you are to an actual square, the better the triangles will be. And the easier they are to sew. All right, I have all my fabric done except for the very end, which is going to be the stem, but I just eyeball the size of this and do it like a regular applique. So, all right, I am going to take my fabric pieces to my machine and let's start sewing these together. Grab one of your pieces of fabrics and have it right side facing up, and put it past the center line right here. Grab your second fabric piece, so I'm alternating. Have it wrong side facing up, and just line it up with that fabric piece. And run the first stitch. Fold the top fabric piece over, so now the right side is facing up, and give it a finger press. Run the next stitch, which will tack down this side right here. The next stitch will tack down this piece. So just hold it in place. Make sure you gave it a good finger press. Remove it from the hoop and cut around this rectangle with sharp applique scissors. Grab your fabric piece for this rectangle. I'm using this one because I am alternating. Have the fabric piece wrong side facing up, and I want you to align just the edge to pass this line right here. Just like so. Run the next stitch, which will tack it down. Fold the fabric piece over and give it a strong finger press. And then you're going to run the next stitch. Do the same thing for this one. So I'm using this fabric, wrong side facing up. Because it's an orange, I'm not sure if there really is a wrong side facing up on this one, but let's pretend this is the wrong side facing up right here, okay? Just want to double check. Yeah, I think they're both the same. All right, so wrong side facing up, bring it past this line just a little bit, and run the next stitch. Fold the fabric over and give it a finger press like before. And run the next stitch. Remove from the hoop and give it a nice snip to get rid of all that excess fabric with your applique scissors. Does not have to be perfect on this side either. I'm going to continue doing the flip and fold methods for these last two side panels right here. And then when we're done with that, I'm going to trim it just like I did before. And then I'll show you how to do the triangles. Grab a triangle piece and wrong side facing up, and I think this is, yep, there is a wrong side on this one. Align the base of the triangle with this line and run the first stitch. Just like before, fold it over gently and give it a finger press and run the next stitch. I'm going to do that 3 more times for these 3 triangles right here. Same process. Remove the hoop from the machine and just give it a quick little snip around the excess fabric. The next shape that's going to be sewn is this rectangle up top. And so just like before, we're going to do the flip and fold method, but it is very important that you have 1/4 inch or more excess hanging outside of the design. So wrong side facing up, just bring it all the way to the edge, just like that. Run the first stitch. After you do that, you give it a finger press and fold it over so the right side is facing up, and then run the next stitch. So I'm going to do that for all 4 sides right now. So what I should have done was taken this orange thread out beforehand and change it to this dark blue so that it wouldn't be so contrasting, so that it hides it better. But I was lazy. As you know, I'm kind of lazy when it comes to things like that. But I'm going to do it for the next one because the next one is the stem of the pumpkin, and I do want this thread to be well hidden. So I'm just going to change it to this light brown that matches my fabric choice. And it's not the best fabric. It's not the best thread because, as you can see, it kind of fell apart at the bottom. All right, let's see if it goes through. Okay. I just grabbed some brown from my stash, and I'm going to run the first stitch, which is going to be the placement stitch. And then just like a regular applique from machine embroidery, after I do the placement stitch, I'll put this over it, right side facing up. I will run it, then I'll take it apart, or I'll take it out of the hoop and trim it, and then run the satin stitch. Because this is an applique piece right here, you do want to cut pretty close to the stitches because it is only a 4mm satin stitch length, or width, I should say, width. And so I'm going to do my best to get as close as possible without snipping those stitches. And I'm going to do it off camera because I need to get real close to it, okay? As you can see, I got really close to the stitch line because the next one is going to be the satin stitch that will stitch around the two sides and the top. So that's next. And the nice thing about this next rest of the design is it is all going to be satin stitches for the here on out. We have one final stitch with the embroidery machine, and that is going to do the satin stitch around the pumpkin. So when stitching out your background color, make sure you change your thread color, because if you can see right here, I have a little bit of fraying thread. And if it was this dark blue color, it'd be way less noticeable. Also, as you can see, when I bend it over, sometimes if I bend it over too taut, too firm, you'll see some of the thread come through as well. So if you use the same colored thread as your background, it won't be a problem because it will be very blended in. Now what we want to do is, we're done with the embroidery machine. All we're going to do is remove it from the hoop, tear away the stabilizer, and then give it a quick little trim. So grab your ruler, and you're going to use these stitch lines right here to stitch out a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I just line it up my 1/4 inch. Like so, and just use a rotary blade. And you do it for all 4 sides. And it is all done. That is how easy it is to stitch out this quilt block. Thanks for watching. This design is free on my Patreon. Check the link below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more creative fun.